Why are the central banks increasing interest rates? Central banks are independent from the government. They have their own position, their own board, their own leadership that makes decisions independently of the elected government. In Canada, in the US, and in most countries, this is how it works. Central banks are in charge of the monetary policy, which is effectively the interest rates, setting the interest rates for the country. How do they do that? They set the overnight rate, and then the banks will typically follow suit. So if they increase interest rates by 25 basis points, the banks will typically follow suit, and their lending rates are going to increase by 25 basis points. Now, why do they do this? They do this because they want to cool down inflation. They think that inflation is a bigger problem than an impending recession. They're more worried about the increase in the cost of goods and services year over year than they are about potential job losses. Inflation erodes the purchasing power of our dollar on an annual basis by the amount of inflation. So a 10% inflation means that next year my dollar is only buying 90 cents worth of goods or services. And that's not good for an economy, right? Inflation, you want to have it controlled. Roughly 1 to 3% is what most central banks want to target the inflation at. In periods where you have a limited supply of goods and services and an increased amount of monetary supply, you get inflation, right? More dollars chasing fewer goods, you get inflation. Now, the monetary policy groups decided that they wanted to calm down inflation. What do? They increase interest rates. How does that help? The idea is that we will be more tempted to save our money and will be less tempted to spend our money if interest rates go up. So we're taking money out of the supply and we're putting it into the banks and we're buying less. We're cooling down the economy. We're throwing water on a fire, if you will. Now, the concern in increasing interest rates is always, did you put too much water on the fire, so much so that you kill the fire? What we don't want to do is send it into a spiraling recession that could lead to a depression. The monetary policy and the central bankers are very, very cautious in their approach. And what they're trying to ideally do is do what's called a soft landing. Basically, think of a jetliner, a big 747, and it's just landing softly. By slowing down the economy bit by bit, we're softly landing a plane, and then the plane will eventually take off again once inflation's under control. They want that soft landing more than they want anything else, because the opposite of a soft landing is a crash, and we definitely don't want that. Central bankers are working hard, slowly increasing interest rates, slowly cooling down the economy, slowly inflation coming down, unemployment slightly going up, jobs creation slowly coming down, and eventually get that inflation to 2 or 3%, not avoid a complete recession if they can, and then eventually get some stimulus going again, reduce interest rates again, and get this economy firing on all cylinders. That would be their ideal situation, and that's what they're trying to do. A nice soft landing before taking off again. Will it happen? We'll see, I guess.